You want to do something crazy?
Uh-huh.
You want to plant the wildflowers?
Uh-huh. It's probably a really good shot you got of my open mouth full of popcorn.
So here's the plan. We have 6 pounds of wildflowers. We have 2.5 pounds of lupine flowers. It is currently snowing right now. And you're thinking, why would you plant in the snow? That's how we do it in Wisconsin. We are going to be spreading seed over about 10,000 square feet of space. And that is a mixture of our wildflowers and our pretty purple lupines. So what we need to do is we need to section off the areas into equal parts. We're gonna do 4 parts like this. And we're gonna mix the wildflowers with sand and we're gonna sow them by hand. And what's gonna happen is it's snowing right now, but it's going to snow more. And the more that snow packs on, it'll pack the seeds into the ground and then it'll freeze overnight, causing the seeds to stay in place, to not be affected by any sort of other terrain, weather, whatever. And this is gonna give us a 6-week head start with our wildflowers in the spring. If you're in a cold climate, what you need to do is to make sure that the soil temperatures are below 45 degrees consistently. Here in Wisconsin, zone 4, we're at about 20 to 30 degrees temperature the last week. And so our soil temperatures are well below 45 degrees. Doing this in the winter, you don't have to do it when it snows, but we relate to the game and it's snowing. And it's all right to do it that way too. So let's go get this mixture going. We're gonna sow some wildflowers. Here we go. All right, now it's time for the lupines on this side. All right, so we got the seed dispersed and it got easier as we did it. The last step is to compact it down. So I'm gonna run, do some laps here. We finished all of the planting of the wildflowers, and if you're wondering and you didn't see at the beginning, we got our flowers from American Meadows, which is supposed to be a fairly good supplier for wildflower seeds. No affiliation at all. And if you're wondering what's in the mixture of that, I'm not gonna read them off. I'll throw it on the screen right now. So along with that mix, we did lupines, and the reason that we decided we wanted to plant all these wildflowers were for a number of reasons. First was we wanted the flowers, right? We wanted it to look pretty. We wanted that nice feature in our yard. But for more practical reasons was to bring pollinators to our property, right? Because we have a fairly large garden, and so we wanted a space that would attract more pollinators, that would just help with the with our vegetables in the process of getting those growing. And then lastly, we wanted less area to mow. Right now we have about 3 acres or so, maybe 2.5 acres of mowable area, which is not a ton, but it takes a few hours to mow, even on a riding mower. So we cut that down by a good chunk. And in that particular area where we planted as well, we had issues with gophers, and they were making holes and digging up the ground, and it just kind of looked not great. So it'll remove the eyesore that was there from the gophers. So recommendations for planting if you would like to plant them yourself. The first thing we were told was to do a 1:8 ratio of seed to dry sand. And you want to make sure the sand is dry, that way when you're throwing it, it doesn't clump up and it spreads evenly. And then timing wise for the year, we were told either after the last frost of the spring, for us that's like May or so, or after the first couple frosts of the fall, which is interesting. But the reason we chose fall was because as I said earlier, the seed is going to lay dormant throughout the winter unless we get some crazy heat wave, in which case this huge experiment will be a flop. But the seed will lay dormant throughout the winter, and then come spring, when it starts to unthaw, that moisture will be right there for the seed, the moisture from the snow melting, and that'll start the germination process a little bit quicker. And we were told it's like a 4 to 6 week head start on the blooms for the wildflowers if you plant in the fall versus in the spring. So we have a short growing season the way it is, so we thought every little amount of time is helpful. But I have to caveat all of this. So this is an experiment for us. This is the first time we've ever planted wildflower seeds in the fall, let alone in the snow. So we're gonna have to see come springtime, come summer, when they start to grow, when they start to bloom, did it actually work? Did we actually get a big yield from the wildflowers? We planted on about, I think, a roughly 15,000 square feet or so. So just over a third of an acre. And yeah, this will be a learning experience for us for sure. So if you want to stick around and come back in the spring when we make a follow-up video of this, be sure to do that. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of the holiday season, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.